Illegal Haitian migrants taking over a beautiful place. Migrants are walking off with the town's geese. They're taking the geese and even walking off with their pets. My dog's been taken. My dog's been stolen.
If we have to meme about it to get the media to care, we're going to keep on doing it.
All week, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump have engaged in their sort of joyful bigotry, pushing the lie that Haitian immigrants legally living in Springfield, Ohio, are eating cats, dogs, and geese. They've spent the week memeing about it. Right-wing provocateurs like Chris Rufo are hunting for proof and offering a $5,000 bounty for evidence of Haitian cat consumption. But this merry racism is causing real harm, as racism often does. Today, the Springfield Police Department reported bomb threats to multiple government buildings, prompting evacuations and closures of city and school buildings. And many Haitians in Springfield say they now fear for their lives. Joining me now is Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News Washington correspondent, who is just back from Springfield, where she spoke to Haitian immigrants about the lies Republicans are spreading about them. Yamiche, thanks for joining me. What are they saying to you? How do they feel about this?
Well, Haitian immigrants really are heartbroken and shocked about what's going on. I talked to one Haitian man who immigrated just a few months ago. He was too scared to go on camera, but he told me that really he's feeling re-traumatized because he already left Haiti, fleeing gang violence, fleeing insecurity. He didn't want to leave, but he had to leave, he felt like. And then he came legally to Springfield, Ohio, and is now working a construction job. But his coworkers are now repeatedly asking him if he eats cats. And he told me that he feels depressed. He feels so sad about this situation. And he has some friends that are telling him that they might leave Springfield and leave the idea of the American dream that they were hoping to live here. So it really is in some ways very heartbreaking and really a tough situation. And the tension there was so palpable, Alex.
Did they have a response to Trump, who is on this, continues to do it like hours ago, keeps talking about this despite the fact that there's no basis in truth? Did they have words for Donald Trump?
Yes, a number of Haitian immigrants told me that they see former President Donald Trump as well as Senator J.D. Vance as really pushing racist and xenophobic language toward them, these baseless claims, that it's unfounded allegations. They see them really as putting their lives at risk, with some people not wanting to leave their houses. I talked to one woman who kept her children home from school because she was too worried that they may be targeted. And they just see them really as people who are trying to just do harm to Haitian immigrants. One person told me that he really sees this as a continuation of a long line of attacks because former President Trump years ago said that Haitians were bringing HIV/AIDS to this country, which of course is a false claim. He also has called Haiti an S-hole country. So they really see this as him just continuing to beat down on Haitian immigrants. And of course, he's done that, they think, to, of course, a number of other immigrants. We know, of course, that he's called Mexicans rapists and criminals. So they just see this as sort of more of Donald Trump. But they also think that there might be a political calculation here, that he might be trying to get other people in Ohio to believe this so they could then be motivated to go to the polls. I talked to one man who saw some of these baseless claims as credible. And he told me he feels like Springfield's going to be lost because it'll be sort of overrun in his mind with Haitians. And there's some who say, well, maybe it'll be a Haitian community, much like there are other communities, Irish communities, German communities. But he says he's hoping, this man, that other communities are watching and that they stop Haitian immigrants and other immigrants from coming to their towns. So there's also this idea that they're hoping maybe people in Pennsylvania and Michigan, that they feel mobilized by these baseless claims and that helps Donald Trump be elected.
I would assume, just from some of the videos that I've seen, that the community around the Haitians is incensed also about the lies that are being spread about Springfield. Did you get a sense of that while you were there?
I got a very clear sense of that. I talked to a number of people who weren't Haitian immigrants, longtime residents of Springfield, Ohio, who say they were welcoming to Haitian immigrants because, one, they were coming there and are coming there legally through TPS and a number of federal programs targeting immigrants who are fleeing violence and insecurity. But also, Springfield for years was losing its population, and businesses were closing, groceries were closing, grocery stores were closing, and now they've seen a sort of revitalization. And the people who want the Haitian immigrants there say that's part of the reason why they wanted that. And the city, I should note, advertised new manufacturing jobs and also advertised Springfield as an affordable place to live, which is why they were trying to welcome these Haitian immigrants. So they were actually enticed to come there. And they're also confused because this whole thing about pet and abuse, it all seems to have started because of an unrelated case in a different part of Ohio involving a U.S. citizen who was arrested over a gruesome incident involving a cat. But that had nothing to do with Springfield, Ohio, and nothing to do with Haitians as well.
Wow. And, you know, they gleefully continue to spread the lies in public forums. Yamiche Alcindor, thanks for that reporting, Yamiche. It's really important to have this perspective and the real truth of what this, you know, spreading rot does to a group of people who are just trying to make it in America. Thanks for your time tonight.